Andy, you may or may not have anything to say about this one, but we will quickly get to football, so don't worry about that. I want to talk a little bit about soccer because there was something, Kendall, that I noticed over the weekend that as I was doing research for the sports card investment report at nooffseason.com, which I tend to plug quite a bit when I talk about topics, I was doing research on a couple different guys, Saka and Adeyemi. So Kareem Adeyemi and Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham. These are all guys that ESPN.com has ranked some of the top players age 21 or younger. And Bellingham and Adeyemi are in Bundesliga, and Saka is in the Premier League. And what just dawned on me as I was really digging in deep, Andy Kaysen style, into their cards was the licensing issues that soccer card investors may or may not realize that they're facing. Now, I think a lot of you watching and listening are probably on top of this one. And if so, we would love your take on your experience with this. But if you're not, if you're just kind of getting into sports card investing or soccer card investing, I will say that Topps, having the Bundesliga license, having the UEFA Champions League license, being a little bit more on top of their game, putting RC logos on cards, and being in a position to showcase cards in a more timely fashion than Panini, I think has made guys like Bellingham and Adeyemi more investable than Saka, whereas Saka might be a better player. Kendall, you know more about soccer and you know more about soccer cards than many of us. And I think Saka being on Arsenal, which may be a better team than Dortmund, for example, right? I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm saying like the team that Bellingham and Adeyemi play for versus the team that Saka plays for, and then the fact that Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, etc., they each, I believe, only get a certain amount of entries into the Champions League. I think that sometimes can affect the investability of a player's card. So, Kendall, do you want to elaborate on this for me? Tell me where I might have it right and where I might have it wrong. And then Andy, if you have anything else to add from your perspective on this, we'd love to hear from you as well. So, Kendall, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Well, I'll start off by saying you're correct by saying that Bellingham and Adeyemi are in the Bundesliga, but in terms of cards currently, Adeyemi's cards are from the Austrian Bundesliga because he just made the move to the Bundesliga this offseason. Like he's a brand new transplant to Borussia Dortmund, and he previously played for Red Bull Salzburg, which also is a Champions League team. So he does have cards in that set, but they're not Dortmund cards yet. I mean they, unless they're printed like less than a month ago. So right. The small caveat there is they are in that set that you're talking about, and they do have RC logos, but you're going to see a Salzburg jersey logo from Adeyemi, which people are fairly familiar with. It is a Red Bull team. So there's the Red Bull Leipzig, there's Red Bull Salzburg, there's Red Bull New York. So they have plenty of teams that's very recognizable. Plus, you've got guys like Brendan Aronson. You've got Erling Haaland that's come from them as well, from the Red Bull logos as well. And so, but what I think you're asking here is the RC logo designation. For instance, the Premier League has a Panini license. And so Arsenal, in fact, doesn't necessarily do that RC logo. They kind of do their rookie releases a little bit differently. For instance, you'll see like the rated rookie stuff and things like that. It just looks like a cheaper product. I don't know how to explain that. Like mentally, I just feel like it's a lower bar of entry. And Prism soccer actually is not very accepted in terms of the general like consensus of card collectors. Actually, there's kind of a lot of hate in terms of the Prism product when it comes to soccer cards. So Topps seems to have a general market share that's pretty dominated in this sport specifically. And it reminds me actually of baseball, which is why I think it's so easy for me to translate between both. Is Topps is the dominant not species. That's what I was going to say. Topps is the dominant producer in those sports. And it kind of just dawned on me in the past couple of weeks, like I knew it was a present thing, but when I'm looking at, okay, which cards are investable and which cards are not, I've always been asking myself, okay, why is Mega Crack not as popular? Why is the Prism not as popular? Why is stickers not as popular? And I think it's because the general market share of the whales that are coming in and they want that Topps RC logo because typically they're coming from other sports and this is what they know. And so it's easy for them to look at the card and be like, okay, that's his first one, rather than all the confusion that we know that's behind soccer cards right now about like, what is a rookie card? For instance, they might be in the league 4, 5, 6 years before they get an official rookie card. They might have 40 goals to their name before they get a rookie card designated logo by Topps. And so, but still, that card is the one that's going to hold value. So an RC logo or RPA is, or a RC signature auto is going to be something that's really, really present. Another thing that's really unique about soccer cards is there's not a lot of on-card autos. And I wonder if that is going to be another designation of higher class investments. And so I've been kind of diving into that, whether sticker autos are very people are investing in them, but I wonder if there's even a higher tier that people aren't really even paying attention to right now because soccer is such a craze. People are just like, that one's an auto, let me have it. I wonder if it's going to be an even higher designation when you talk about on-card autos because they're so much more rare because of the international shipping and everything. I'm sure they're just sending stickers to the players rather than having to send, oodles of cards maybe all the way across the ocean, stuff like that. And all these countries have different sort of customs and shipping problems. And so anyway, all that to say, yes, I would say that Saka might be the better player. Although I think the window between Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal is closing. I think they're both considered at this point. They're both kind of feeder teams that are just right on the teeter or like teetering on the top of their league. Arsenal has been there before, which helps them. They have a legacy. You think of Thierry Henry and all those players that have come from Arsenal. But Dortmund is definitely pumping out some incredible prospects over the last 10, 15 years and is kind of vaulting themselves in the top 2, 3 in Bundesliga. And I don't want to say that Bayern Munich, top of the Bundesliga year after year, is not as good of a club as some of those English Premier League teams.
Right.
I would actually venture that some of those teams are actually better. And we've seen those teams win Champions Leagues and things like that. And England actually hasn't fared well in the past 20 years in terms of Champions League experience overall. Now there have been winners. Chelsea has won it, Man City. I think Liverpool got to the finals this year, and so there are English teams that are good. I'm just saying that the way I look at it is England is the best league. Spanish has the best players, even though that's a little different now that Ronaldo and Messi are not there, and Germany has the best fans. But Bayern Munich is definitely a team that needs to be reckoned with. And the Bundesliga sets are pretty crazy. For instance, that Leipzig set right now, that Leipzig top set is incredibly expensive because of how many awesome autos are in the product. And so like they're doing specific team sets from Topps now. And that's kind of a new thing. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think those are investable cards, especially when you look at the RC logo, you look at the autos, the serial numbers, the prospects that are either on the U.S. men's national team or just guys that are 21 and under that are in the Champions League on good, not only club teams, but World Cup teams as well. And so I noticed your shout out on the sly to Southern Soccer Idiot, I think is his handle on YouTube. The Southern Soccer Idiot.
He roasted me, dog.
He's a loyal audience member of the Sports Card Strategy Show and the Soccer Card Strategy Show, where he has absolutely called out Kendall multiple times in a nice way, in a very nice
I love it though.
way.
I really do like the debate. So.
Yeah, I do too, and I have a conspiracy theory here that because Southern Soccer Idiot kind of reminds me of Andy Kaysen, and Andy Kaysen is so analytical driven, but he's also like very
You're not an idiot, Andy.
intelligent in terms of how he articulates his points. I mean, he's just like bang, 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 point, point, point. And so my conspiracy theory is like, is Andy Kaysen actually Southern soccer idiot? Andy?
That would be hilarious.
I do like the self-deprecating humor there, but no, I can firmly say I'm not the Southern soccer idiot. I do think that there's a ton of growth potential in football, right? Global football, not American football, NFL. Even though the NFL is the highest revenue earning single sports league, if you were to add up all the Bundesligas, the Premier Leagues, all these soccer or global football leagues across the world, I mean they earn more revenue than the NFL, MLB, NBA combined. So it's pretty wild to think how big of a sport that is, and how their cards are just kind of like, they've definitely caught up a lot, but I think they were the last sport to kind of catch on fire in the sports card boom. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's because of all the different products. Like it's easy in America to get like one product. It's coming out, it's hitting the shelves. It's been the way for 70 years. Topps and Panini have kind of been the thing. But like Panini has had a whole lot of European influence and a lot of European domination over the last, recent history. But there's also Mega Crack and all this stuff, and trying to figure out all those cultures and saying like, no, this is the brand that you need to be buying is kind of a hard thing. That's kind of, we are seeing it happening now, but it's taken a long time to kind of get there. And I think that's just due to global expansion. So.
Yeah, I also think just real quick on this point about soccer, maybe one of the reasons why it's been slower to come along in sports card investing, because we all know sports card investing is very different than just watching major sports on TV. Sports card investors are very savvy when it comes to finding the next thing, digging down deep and finding like the next sleeper area to invest in. So I don't think that the interest level in soccer hasn't been there for sports card investors. My theory is that it's confusing. You have to have a Kendall McKee passion for following global football to understand how the systems work, because you have 5 or 6 leagues that are significant, none of which follow the traditional league system that we all grow up with in America. Like, for those of you who are not American residents, you're watching this from around the world, shout out. I'm in Valencia, Spain right now. But basically, I grew up obviously in the United States. And so I think for those of us that grew up in the United States, we understand sort of like middle school, high school, some AAU, some different other leagues around high school, but then college, maybe some other leagues around college. But then ultimately there's a draft. There's a frickin' draft in every single one of our sports. And that makes it easy to do research, because we can go, where was this guy drafted? Yeah. Oh, we can go to NFL.com, NBA.com, MLB.com, etc., NHL.com, and we can look at the draft that just happened. We can go back draft by draft by draft. There is not that in global football. I mean, for somebody like me who's a sports geek, it's still confusing. I still have to try to ask Kendall 73 times how things work, and I still don't understand it. So there's really no go-to place for that information. Maybe there's Transfer Market, there's other things like that, but it's still a little bit confusing. So anyway, I think that, but I do think that like with more and more interest with the US being more involved in having a competitive team in international play and upcoming World Cups, all these things are making soccer a great place to go. So my last point on soccer for today, unless Kendall brings us around to it at some point in the show, is